back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I am continuing with my Pokemon Blue Complete Pokedex journey. So you may notice that I have some interesting Pokemon in my particular party right now. So in my last episode, we took on the Safari Zone, and in this episode, we're going to head to the Central City in the entire area of this particular game. But before we do that, I want to show off some of the Pokemon I caught off-screen in the Safari Zone, including Dratini and Krabby. And then I also traded over 3 particular Pokemon from my Red Parallel playthrough. And that is Hitmonchan, who's actually interesting because he will be coming into play on the next gym that we go to. And then I also picked up a Dragonite as well as an Electabuzz. Notice they're all at level 7, and that is because I acquired them all using the Mew Glitch. So a bunch of the trainers on the northern end of Cycling Road have quite a few of these rare Pokemon, and so you can pick them up using the Mew Glitch, which makes them quite a bit easier to acquire than the quote-unquote real way you're supposed to get them, through leveling or through going to a place that we just don't have access to currently. So now we are going to head over to the Warden with his gold teeth, paying no attention to the fact that I have a random Pokédoll in my inventory. That won't come into play at all in the very near future. But now that we have the gold teeth, and 71 out of 150 in our Pokedex, we can actually head over to the Warden and we can give them to the Warden in order to acquire the next HM, which I believe is our final HM. We already have Cut, Fly, Flash, and last time we acquired Surf, and now by giving the gold teeth to the Warden, affectionately referred to as Slowpoke, is his nickname by his friends and family, he can now talk, and we can actually understand him. And he wants to give us a prize, and that prize is HM number 4, which can teach Strength. And Strength is necessary in order to beat the game. You are going to need to push some massive boulders in one of the later dungeons. In order to do that, you need to have the Strength ability. So yes, I already found the secret house in the Safari Zone. We acquired HM number 3, the Surf ability already. And since we actually beat Koga in a previous episode, we can actually use Surf outside of battle. And that's not going to come into play. I'm not going to really be using Surf too much, because we have a lot to do before we actually start heading into the waterways. I like the idea of just teaching Strength to Krabby. Something about a small crab being able to push massive boulders is just amusing to me. Especially thinking about Krabby and how it was sort of presented in the Pokemon anime, when Ash caught one of the Krabbies. But now, by pushing that block, we can pick up a rare candy. So I'm going to switch out some of my Pokemon, and then I will meet you outside the Poke Center in a little bit. Alright, so I got my regular party back. We're going to be heading to another gym. It is not one of the official gyms here in this particular game, but it's actually an unofficial gym, if such a thing exists. So we do have Surf on our Blastoise. We're going to head to Saffron City. And in Saffron, we're going to start exploring the city a little bit. Now, we've done a little bit of exploring in here before. I came here once I acquired my Jinx, and we actually talked to Mr. Psychic to pick up the Psychic TM. And that is because Jinx cannot learn any real good psychic abilities through any other means. So in order to have a good psychic ability, we needed to teach Jinx that particular ability. But the town is still kind of a buzz about Team Rocket. This is in some ways Team Rocket's home base. I mean, it's not. Team Rocket is actually pretty much located in Celadon City, but they have taken over a lot of Saffron. They are blocking a lot of the establishments, such as the actual Pokemon League gym. And in order to get them to leave, you need to actually go through Silphco. So we already talked to Mr. Psychic and got TM 29 to get Psychic, and we taught it to our Jinx. Jinx is doing pretty well for us. It's a pretty good Pokemon, being both Psychic and Ice. It will be very helpful when we take on the Elite Four. And it'll actually be very helpful in this particular episode in the unofficial Fighting-type gym. So this guy is supposed to be protecting Silphco, but he is apparently asleep. And you'll notice a lot of rockets walking around town, saying things such as, "Evil makes me feel so much alive." Yeah, the Great Ball, that's nice. What's even better than that is the Ultra Ball. And what's even better than that is the Master Ball. If only we had a way to duplicate Master Balls and get as many as we wanted through some sort of a glitch, perhaps, using missing numbers. But alas, we do not have that ability right now. The rockets are actually blocking some of these residencies as well, such as the Copycat's house here. We'll be coming back to that once we clean out Silphco and get rid of Team Rocket once and for all in this game. Yeah. Well, it seems like you've done a pretty good job taking over the town. So we actually have two gyms here, the Fighting Dojo as well as the official gym, which is the Psychic Gym. So we will have to take on Sabrina eventually. She's one of my least favorite to actually fight, just because Psychic is so OP of a type in Gen 1. There really is not any great ways of countering Psychic other than Bug. And Bug really doesn't have any great abilities or Pokemon to use those abilities in this particular generation. Now theoretically you could also use Ghost, but again there aren't any real great Ghost types. Gengar is, of course, a pretty good Pokemon, it's just that it's also poison, which means it's weak to Psychic, and it doesn't really learn any good Ghost abilities that are powerful. So not a lot here in town, at least not compared to Fuchsia, for example, which has a much better stock. So now that we've explored what we can, we're going to head up to the Fighting Dojo, and we're going to take on the trainers inside. So you don't actually get a badge in this particular place. I think the lore is that they used to be a Pokemon League gym, but then the people from the Psychic Gym came over and just beat them all up, and then they lost their gym status. So of course we're going to have to take on all the trainers here, and they are going to use surprise, surprise fighting types. So you're going to want to use, for example, a Psychic type, or you're going to want to use something like a Flying type. They're not super powerful. I should be able to take out most of the lower level ones with my Ice attacks, but we will save our Psychic abilities for the higher level ones that we'll face as we go on in the dungeon, such as it is this particular gym. But again, there's not a lot of really good fighting types in Gen 1 either, so you're going to see basically the Machop line and also the Mankey line. And then the leader of the gym actually has the two unique fighting Pokemon types. So I showed off Hitmonchan already, that is one of them. Totally not named after Jackie Chan. But there's also Hitmonlee, totally not named after Bruce Lee. But I like fighting types. They're actually pretty useful, because they are super effective against normal type, for example. And they work also against ground types. Now I never remember if it's ground or rock, because most of the Pokemon in this generation are dual typed as ground and rock, but they are super effective against them. For example, like an Onix or the Geodude line. Oh no, it's a Machoke! Look at those big muscles. Whatever shall I do? Let's attack its brain. Big muscles, small brain. Up to 45. Sweet. Yeah, you can pretty much wreck just about anything in this generation with a Psychic type. You have a Kadabra, or especially an Alakazam. Even with just basic confusion, There's not much that can stand up to you. Unless they're significantly higher in level or they have really high special defense. So a really high special stat. I think Primeape is pretty cool to look at. It's got that little crosshatch on its forehead, kind of indicating that it's upset at you or angry. But alas, too bad, Primeape. You're not going to stand up to my Jinx. Lola is just OP. Now that's going to change once we head into the Psychic Gym. I'm not going to have a great way of taking on the Psychics. We don't have any Dark types. No Steel types either. So I find the best way to fight Psychics in this generation is one of two ways. You can either fight them with another Psychic type, so they're resistant to the Psychic attacks, and then use something like an off typing, like with Jinx I can use Ice abilities, for example. They're not great, because most Psychic types have really high special, but it does work to a certain extent. The other option I like to use against Psychics is to use something that is really fast and has high physical attack. And then you can use a really powerful physical ability. And since most Psychic types have low physical defense, you can usually take them out. So my Diglett, for example, which is now a Dugtrio with Earthquake, that should be able to take out most of the Psychics in one shot. At least that's what I'm hoping. But I will have Jinx as a backup. But here is the master of the dojo. He's the karate master. I believe he's supposed to be the one who ends up moving to a mountain in the next generation, and then you can actually get a special Pokemon from that can evolve into Hitmontop, or Hitmonlee, or Hitmonchan, depending on what its stats are when it evolves. He's going to start with Hitmonlee. I actually do prefer Hitmonlee to Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan kind of is spec'd for special attacks, but its special stat is just not that great. Hitmonlee is spec'd for physical attacks, and actually gets some pretty decent physical attacks that are fighting type. So Hitmonchan seems, especially in this generation, to be kind of a waste. Which is unfortunate, because it is a unique Pokemon. It theoretically can do things that other fighting types can't. Having elemental attacks that it should be able to use in its punches to cover a lot of different ideas and different typing advantages. But the Karate Master says, hey, don't take our symbol for beating us. Instead, why don't you take one of these special Pokemon? So you have to make a decision. Do you want Hitmonchan or do you want Hitmonlee? And since we already have a Hitmonchan, well, we don't need to take a Hitmonchan, right? Because we also have one, we also get the full Pokedex entry here. No, I don't want the Puncher. I want the Kicker. Super Kick Party. Now, I'm not actually going to use Hitmonlee in this playthrough, but it is a fun Pokemon, and I have run it sometimes with my party. So we'll send it to the PC, because we don't have any room. That is it for the Fighting Dojo. Enemies on every side. And we can't read that one because the Pokeball is forever in the way. That's unfortunate. Alright, and that is about it for this particular episode. In my next episode, we're actually going to start the climb through Silphco, which is a massive dungeon. Did you just look at me, even though you were sleeping? This is the biggest dungeon in the game, and it's going to take probably 2 episodes or more to get through, because we have a lot of floors to go through and a lot of rockets to beat up. So as always, viewers, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for the continued support, and make sure to tune in next time when we start the climb through Silphco and finally take out Team Rocket once and for all. So long. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and leave a comment below. Please also subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell. See you next time.